Ozonics, Killerwinds podcast, back again. I'm Cole Tanner.
I'm Nick Simon.
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk a little bit about early season strategies.
We're going to talk about October strategies.
Yeah,
we talked about early strategies a couple weeks ago, so now we're trying to focusing more on October.
Yeah, October that's the situation that we're in. We start in October. There's definitely some people that are hunting right now, but obviously a lot of things change in October, so that's what we're going to focus on today.
So before we get into that, we are filming this podcast the week before. Mm-hmm. So this is going to air on
September 16th.
September 16th, Monday, but we're filming this on September 11th.
Yep.
So I just wanted to take a second to talk a little bit about that because I know it's past, and if you're listening to this, it was last week. Yep. But I think it's something that's important to never forget. You know, it's been 23 years since September 11th happened. And one of the things I feel like every year, man, it really chokes me up. Like I had an opportunity, a long time ago to hunt with somebody that was in, the World Trade Centers, as one of the people pulled out of the wreckage and got to really hear some firsthand experiences of it. And even now, and especially this year, I feel like one of the things that hit me this year was the fact that there is a generation of people, and one of them is right here, that doesn't remember 9/11.
No.
You were what?
3
years old, right? And so there's a lot of people in there, none of my kids remember 9/11, like a lot of teenagers, a lot of kids in their 20s that just don't even remember 9/11.
Yeah.
Just like I don't remember Pearl Harbor.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? You know what I mean? I wasn't even around for that. Mm-hmm. And so, but I think it's important never to forget.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you said, I was a junior in high school when it all happened. I'll never forget, I was in chemistry class. My teacher, Mrs. Burns, got a call on her cell phone. She went into her office that was like on the side of the classroom. She's in there for the longest time. She came back out, and I remember her walking out of her office and just looking at all of us and saying, "The World Trade Centers have been attacked, and there's planes that have hit them." And we're like, "What?" And she kind of like ran down the hallway to the principal's office. They got on the intercom and they explained it, and they brought TVs into all the classrooms, and we watched TV all day. Mm-hmm. There was actually somebody that I went to school with. I grew up in a small town, north central Iowa, and there was somebody in our school that had gone to basic training his junior year, and he was a senior.
Yeah.
His sister was in our class, and I remember her crying and crying because she was so worried that he was going to have to go and fight, and end up somewhere overseas. And sure enough, he did.
Yeah.
And it's like as time has gone by since 9/11, I think, and they've been very well documented over these last couple of decades about all the heroism that happened that day and how many people ran towards it, not away from it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And gave their lives to help save people.
Right.
And so I think it's just important to remember that freedom's not free.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've had friends that I've met through the years, getting to know them, finding out that they went into Marine Corps offices on September 12th.
Right.
And signed up.
Yeah.
They went on the day after and said, "Sign me up. This can't happen. I want to defend my country."
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people that did that, Even something I heard this morning and a little bit last night was about how there's been more first responders that came after the trade centers fell that were trying to help dig people out of the rubble and help people, that were hurt. There's been more first responders that have died since 9/11 than first responders that died on 9/11 from all the carcinogens and the chemicals and everything from those buildings falling and those people breathing that stuff in. So it's wild to think about that. And like I said, I hope it never happens again.
Right.
And like you said, we live in the greatest country in the world. We really do. It's awesome to think that we can sit here on a Wednesday morning and drive our own car to work and stop at Starbucks and go eat lunch wherever we want and like say what we want to say and do what we want to do and raise a family and make our own decisions and buy stuff and have jobs and have choice. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Right.
And like you said, I feel like, actually something I heard on, it was Barstool Sports, talked about how we live in such a divided country right now, right? Like, it's crazy. I mean, I'm 39 years old. You're 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing, like, we kind of grew up in kind of the same generation, but a little bit different. You know what I mean? And I guess if you looked at it, we're probably in different generations technically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things that you can definitely say right now is there is such a divide in perspectives. You're either on one side or the other. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's only a couple things right now in our society that really brings people together. One of them is sports,
Yeah.
We've had this conversation before. Like, you can go to a Vikings game or a Packers game, and it doesn't matter who you vote for or what you believe in, or if you're for hunting or against hunting, or you're for this or for that. When you're at a Packers game, you're a Packers fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody asks you about that. They don't even think about that. Vikings game, no different. Well, when it comes to being patriotic, and when it comes to thinking about these devastating days in our country, like 9/11, like Pearl Harbor, you know what I mean? Some of these just horrific events, it really, the silver lining is it brings people together and it creates unity.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all these differences that we have don't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, because we I don't know. So it's just something that I just hope that we never forget.
Right.
And I know that I'm really proud to be an American, and I'm, like I said, I never served. I never, for whatever reason, I never felt that calling.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate and respect what those people do, what police officers do, what firemen do, what first responders do, what our, all these different branches of the military do to defend our freedom.
Right.
There's that movie, what's the movie? The American Sniper.
Right.
They're part of that movie. They're two of them. The two of the guys are talking, and he's like, "Man, I just really wonder what we're doing here." And he made a comment. He said, "We're defending more than just this dirt. You know what I mean? We're defending. Do you want these people to come to your town?
Right.
You want to come to where your family lives? Like, we're defending more than just this random piece of dirt in the middle of wherever we are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's bigger than that.
Right.
And there's so much truth in that. You know what I mean? And think about all these people that are sacrificing time away from their friends, their family, their kids, having kids born they've never even met because they're serving our country, trying to defend our freedom. So I don't know. I just think it's a big deal.
No, definitely.
Like I said, I don't know. I found myself this morning driving to work, listening to different news stations, and it was making me super emotional. You know what I mean? I'm like, God dang, there's these kids that have grown up without parents, without moms, without dads, without grandparents because of what happened on 9/11.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just hope we never forget.
Yep.
Because I think when we do forget is when bad things happen again.
Yeah.
And we start to, and unfortunately there is such a divide in our country. Like, I just hope that we remember that we're all Americans and we all need to stick together.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's all I need to say about that. But yeah, I just think it's a humbling day.
Yep, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But let's talk about fun stuff.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about October early season strategies.
Yep.
So when this podcast airs, October 16th, we are...
September 16th.
There you go. September 16th, sorry. September 16th, we are T-minus 2 weeks in a day from opening bow season.
Yep.
Early Muzz is right around the corner too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like you were saying, if you're hunting in Wisconsin, it's already open.
Yeah, it's already
You're a couple
going.
days in.
Yep.
Yeah, it would have opened on Saturday.
Yep.
You're probably going home this weekend.
I am. Not to hunt,
Maybe
but
you're going to go sit with Benny, Willie, Chili, Charlie, Philly, Millie.
yeah, see if I can find somewhere.
So you can get out there. Just get out there and get in the stand.
Yeah, I didn't buy any tags this year. Not yet, at least.
You haven't scratched the itch yet, huh?
Nope, unless something shows up here in the next couple days, maybe.
Yeah.
But for now, nope, not gonna get any takes. So
Yeah. But
it's
like
a little weird. It's the first time I haven't bought Wisconsin tag. Well, actually, no, never mind. I didn't buy a tag when I was at Meadows Whitetail, but still, though, it's weird to think. Normally, right now, I'm just itching like crazy just to get out there and stuff. But
yeah.
It's just a little different now.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy too to think like how each state is so much different. You know,
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about this in the past. Wisconsin, they start earlier, but then they start gun hunting during the rut.
Yeah,
and so it's like everything is kind of forward.
Yeah.
The seasons here in Iowa, they're starting the same, but they're
extra week
on some of them, right?
Yeah.
Like bow season goes a little longer. Gun seasons
are the same, but
they're moved back.
Later.
Yep. So
the only one that's shorter is late muzzleloader this year is a little shorter.
Yeah, late muzz because first and second shot are moving back, so late muzz a little shorter. So it's just gonna be interesting. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think October this year is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah,
as wet, especially in Iowa, as wet of a year as we've had, it's really dried out.
Yeah, big time.
It really has dried out. I mean, perfect example. I haven't mowed my yard. I don't think I've mowed my yard, but I haven't mowed it in September yet. Yeah. And I think I maybe mowed it twice in October or August.
Yeah.
I'm just not. May, June, July, it was like, holy guacamole.
Man, you couldn't go a week without getting a couple of rains, it felt like.
Well, it was a twice a week deal to mow your yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was. I was mowing my yard twice a week. It's like, gosh, dang. But it has definitely slowed, and you can see the change. You can drive down the road, especially in northern Iowa, and you can see the yellow.
Yeah.
All the beans are turning.
Corn's turning even, everything.
Yep, everything's starting to dry out.
Yep.
It goes from this lush, just brilliant, bright, vibrant green
everywhere
to this dull, like burnt color, right?
Yeah.
The green, the brightness of the green just kind of hardens, you know what I mean? And all those green luscious fields turn yellow, and then they just turn like a terrible brown. You know what I mean? They just die. And we're in the process of that right now. Everything's drying down.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just right around the corner.
Yeah.
I think one of the things to talk about right off the bat is that we've noticed it on our trail cameras, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We're kind of in this transition.
100%.
Yep. Again, we can talk about all these things. We can talk about moon phase. We can talk about weather. We talk about all this stuff. But what you can hang your hat on is the amount of light in the day.
Yeah.
And last night, we were on the road at 8:20, pitch dark.
Yeah.
8:25,
dark as could be.
Dark.
Yeah.
Dark. Pretty sunset at 7:30, not pretty sunset at 8:45.
Yeah.
It is getting dark earlier. The days are getting shorter.
Yeah.
And so that just all the shortening of the days, it all starts to trigger what these whitetails are going through.
Yeah, exactly.
We've definitely seen the transition of velvet bucks to hardhorn bucks.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything we're getting on camera now. We're a couple of those big guys we're still looking for yet.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming, which can't believe we didn't mention that.
What?
New big guy on camera.
Yeah, new big guy, which is funny.
Guy with a cool name.
Yeah. Well, we
named him Gas.
Yeah, Gas.
His name's
Gas.
Yeah, we named him Gas. Jetty named him Gas.
Yep, Jetty named him Gas.
Gasoline.
Named him Gasoline, but we're calling him Gas for short.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, that deer, we had pictures of him really, really early.
Way early.
Like super early. Like his beams weren't even done.
It was like in June.
Yeah, it was way early. Never had him. And then
big,
all of a sudden,
tall brows, baby.
huge brows. Good
Antenna
mass.
brows just sticking up there.
Yeah. And then he showed back up on Friday night.
Yep.
Friday night, I think it was. Last Friday night. And then the next night he was there again, and then he hasn't been there since. But it's just interesting because it's what we talked about in would be 2 podcasts ago now. It's just, you can just feel everything starting to change. Some bucks that we were seeing so much are way less frequent, if not at all. And it's just, we're just in that period right now where they're just, I don't think that they're completely moving, but they're shifting.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, it's definitely shifting.
Yeah, I think those deer are still there, but they're just, they just shifted a little bit.
Yeah, it's not August anymore. It's not August where they're coming out of the fields and it's 7:30, 8 o'clock at night and they're just lollygagging looking to eat.
Yeah.
It's just all changing. We're seeing that on all the cameras.
Yeah.
And again, we're seeing I think the other thing you can definitely hang your hat on is we're seeing a lot of nocturnal buck movement.
Yeah.
Super nocturnal buck movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great, can be a little disheartening too, because you're like, dang, I'm looking at it saying youth season starts, which when this podcast airs, this Saturday.
Yeah.
At 21st, you know what I mean? So it's just a few days away. But we have a lot of bucks on camera in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And again, for Jet, it's a brown, it's down type deal.
Yeah.
But again, it's just like you would hope you could track one down.
Yeah.
But it's just getting to be tougher. It's all starting to change.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, you just have to be aware of that as we get into the first part of October. I've talked about this before. I have the tendency in October, especially because I'm just rearing to go, I will hunt super hard.
Yeah.
I'll hunt really hard early.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law, he always razzes me because he knows, again, he farms, on the side. So late September, October is a tough month for him to find time to get out.
Yeah.
And I've probably got 5-10 sits in at least before he's even got the camo out of the closet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the thing is I would say is that's one of the things that I would say you have to be careful with in October is, at the beginning of the season, I talked about this before, we all have that clear glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
And the time that we spend on those properties and on these pieces, whether it's public or private or leased or owned or whatever, it's that little food coloring that you drop in there. And that's the pressure.
Yeah.
And so you got to be cognizant of what pressure that you're putting on your spots. Hence why we're such huge advocates for ozonics.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? We talk about that, the fact that, the sound of us being out there goes away. Them being able to see us, that goes away, but the odor stays behind.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they know is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Their eyes might trick them. Their eyes might trick them. Their nose, or their eyes might trick them. Their ears, fool them, but their nose doesn't lie.
Yeah.
And so that's where ozonics can become so valuable early season, especially
Right.
to help eliminate that odor, to help keep that pressure down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like we talk a lot about maximizing opportunity, minimize pressure.
Yeah.
That's where, or minimizing pressure and maximizing opportunity. Let's minimize the pressure in October to maximize that opportunity when it really, really counts.
It counts, yeah.
Now, if you're the guy that's got that buck on camera, and that's why we've got so many cameras out,
Yeah.
right? If you've got that buck on camera and he's just walking in, then by all means, get in
after
there.
him. And I think that's another thing where it's just different compared to Wisconsin, because I was the same way. When Wisconsin opened up, I was hunting really, really hard because you just have so many deer that are still kind of in that summer pattern. And
yes,
man, a lot of deer die in Wisconsin that first couple of weeks just because you can still catch them on their summer patterns coming out to ag fields and stuff like that. So,
and you can catch them on those. It's almost like if there was a timer on when they're going to be on those bean fields and they're still going to be on the edges and you're still getting them on camera.
Yeah.
That timer is getting down to the last 5, 4, 3, 2 minutes of the timer. It's getting ready to ding, but it hasn't dinged yet.
Yep.
And so you have that little window.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had that last year.
Yeah.
You had a buck on camera that's like, dude, because you went up there and you're like, man, I got to try this thing.
Yeah.
He's there.
Yep.
He's coming out every night.
Yep.
Your buddy's got a buck like that. Man, he's coming out every night. Here he is.
Yeah.
He's coming out at light.
Yeah.
He's on the hoof during the day. By all means, get in there and make a move.
Yeah. And I was able to get up there for one sit. And sure enough, he came out.
Saw him.
He was 100 yards away. But yeah, it just goes to show how it's just different, because that night when I saw him, that was the last time I saw him. That was the last time I had pictures of him.
Yeah.
Ever.
Ding.
Nothing.
The timer went off.
Yeah, that was like his last time on that field. And next time I saw him, it was somebody sitting behind him.
Yeah.
The neighbor shot him. But yeah, I mean, it was his time to really shift. And
it's just wild. Like you think about this is related but not related. Mourning doves. Man, I love seeing mourning doves. A lot of guys get really after mourning dove hunting.
Yeah.
First part of September. But guess what? You get to September 5th, you get to September 8th and 9th, and all of a sudden you look around and you're like, well, where'd they all go?
Yeah.
There's just one day that they go, hey, time to fly south.
Yeah.
And the deer do the same type of thing. All of a sudden that timer just goes off and it's just like, well, I shot my velvet and it's time to start getting away from my summer pattern. And I need to start shifting into what I'm doing and thinking about this breeding season that's around the corner.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about, again, when all of a sudden your cameras go dry, it's not that the deer aren't there. They're just shifting.
Yeah.
We talked about a couple weeks ago, really understanding where white acorns may be on some of these hardwoods that you hunt, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that these deer, they bed and they feed. They bed and they feed. They bed, they feed, they drink water. They're going between these types of things. So all of a sudden, instead of going bedding, water, feed, or in some particular order, all of a sudden it might shift from this bean field over to this white acorn patch in the woods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, to try to find yourself in the middle of that. That really, I think, also lends itself to being aware when you start to see scrapes out there.
Yeah.
That's what these bucks are starting to think about too. We've seen that already a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you can find these really good scrapes, and you know that, okay, wherever I am, I'm somehow in between the bedding and the feeding.
Yeah.
This is where they're transitioning through here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so you can start to key in on those types of things.
Yeah. And I think another thing too that I've personally been trying to say, just kind of as I've learned more about deer, is shift rather than move off the property. I mean, maybe you can have that buck that will move off the property, but like what you said about like the white oaks and stuff, I mean, it could be a white oak ridge that is up against the bean field that you've been getting pictures all summer.
Literally,
and they're
it could be 100 yards from where your camera is right now. We've got that right now on some of the private spots.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's Iowa.
Yeah.
If we snapped our fingers and it was 150 years ago, it would be oak ridges and tall grass prairie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So wherever the tall grass prairie is, that's now agriculture.
Yeah.
And those oak trees are still there. So they just shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us last year with Jet during youth season.
Yep.
All of a sudden the cameras, they flat out stopped.
Yeah.
What do we say? Man, and what do deer do? Well, they're still moving around and they want to move where they can be safe, they can be secluded, they can be out of sight, out of mind. Man, they got to be working this ridge right here.
Yeah.
They got to be working this big, we call like a dynamic trail that kind of works around this ridge, or about halfway down the ridge. This is where it is. And they got to be coming through here. Yeah. Sure enough,
first morning,
there was a big doe just working that dynamic ridge coming around.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so, and again, when you start to think about, okay, where is these white oaks? Where may they be bedding? And when I can find these scrapes, then you can start to hone back in, adjusting some of your cameras, getting them off those edges, trying to find those scrapes. If you find those scrapes early, that's a scrape that you probably want to key in on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've had an opportunity to find a couple of those already and know where they've been in years past.
Yeah, exactly.
And then go in and check them.
Yeah.
You know, obviously be careful. We don't want to put too much pressure on stuff. You know what I mean? But get in there and see what it's going to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Be smart about it. Like if you're going into a spot that you're already going into to put batteries in camera or something, just take an extra 5 minutes to go over and see if anything's opened up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like you said, so Jet, I talk about him a lot. He's all excited about youth season. The other day he said to me, he's like, "Oh man, can we rattle?" And it's like, "Man, buddy, it's a little early to rattle." Well, why? Why? I'm like, "Well, dude, if you're not careful, you can do more harm than good." And that can be the case in October as well.
Yeah.
It's not that rattling's not a good thing, but you probably don't want to go out there and rattle October 1st.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, you get into mid-October, can be a great time to rattle. Now, again, it's not World War III. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not battle royale. You know what I mean? But tinking them together, I've done that and had great luck with it. You know what I mean? And had bucks run in.
Yeah.
Again, need to be aware that what's going to happen when you start to rattle, grunt, those bucks are going to come in the circle on downwind side. So you better be ready for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about where you're sitting. Is it conducive to have a buck come in on the downwind side here? Because again, it's great to see them, but we're trying to harvest them.
Yeah, exactly.
So seeing them and killing them can be a totally different thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes the day that maybe I want to rattle isn't conducive to where I'm sitting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and I think a lot of the rattling stuff too kind of comes with prior experience. Like in Wisconsin, I remember seeing good bucks locking up a little bit, but it's like you said, it's not a knockdown drag out brawl. It's just kind of tinking around, seeing what everybody's kind of working with almost, so you just kind of got to know the situation, know the time of year and stuff for sure.
I think there's something to be said too about the fact that, and we talked about this, I don't know if we talked about this a couple weeks ago or not, but I think sometimes we tend to forget that whitetails are aggressive.
Yeah.
Like when I used to work in Colorado, we had river bottoms where there was mule deer and there was whitetails.
Yeah.
And if push came to shove, the whitetail always would win.
Yeah.
Mule deer are more passive. Not that you won't get mule deer to fight, but if there's a mule deer buck and a whitetail buck, that whitetail buck is going to push them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's what you're kind of trying to tap into and trying to, leverage is the aggressiveness of those whitetail bucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when they hear that, they come running in.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to hear what's going on. Hey, I want a part of that.
Yeah, exactly.
That usually means, hey, we're trying to figure out the pecking order, or there's a doe that we're trying to, decide between here.
Yeah.
And so that's where that rattling can be a powerful tool.
Yeah, definitely.
But I also, if you had to hold a gun to my head and say, if you can only make noise in a tree stand 1 month of the year, it's definitely not October.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I, like you said, I know guys that just don't ever make a noise at all.
Yeah.
They just try to let it play out naturally. Sometimes, and I have a tendency to agree, I think these last couple of years, I've been a lot more conservative on the amount of calling that I do.
Yeah.
Because again, sometimes you can disrupt it more than you can help it.
Yeah.
Now, if it's the end and you're just like, hey, I'm going to throw everything at it, by all means, and that's when a lot of guys will start to rattle.
Yeah.
But, it's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
Because then those days that you rattle or you grunt and nothing comes in, well, did nothing come in because there's nothing around, or is it because they turned and ran the other way?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Yeah, and I don't know if I 100% agree with the personally, I think I would choose October. But I think it's just how the farm in Wisconsin I hunt lays out. Like, we had way more luck rattling late October. It seemed like October 20th to November was like the best time to call and make some noise. You just have way more bucks that were willing to come into that noise. But then it was so funny because once you hit November and it's like kind of middle of rut, kind of peak rut type time, man, you couldn't call to anything. I guess I could have said crap, but
is crap a swear word? Because if it is,
I don't know why I stopped there.
I've got to put like $100 in the swear jar.
I don't know why I stopped there. But yeah, no, it's just interesting how it's different between farms, anything. And I think the reason we did is just we didn't have too many does. So like you said, I think that they just weren't really there that time of year.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
But
no, I hear you. Like I said, and it is. I mean, it's an interesting thing. Like I said, even one of the things that I thought was really interesting when Buddy and I went down to that BBD Outfitters. I had an opportunity, kind of just by, just the way it worked out. Scott was supposed to go, and then he couldn't, and then they had, we worked it all out. So then I all of a sudden got to go.
Yeah.
One of the things that those guys at BBD were adamant about, they were adamant. No calling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, none. They were like, nope.
Interesting.
Nope. Don't need to bring rattle. Don't need to bring grunt tube. No calling. No calling. Don't do it.
Huh.
They were adamant about that. And I didn't really get into it with them about it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm fine with it either way. You know what I mean? And I think where they were coming from is like, well, you can scare a lot of stuff away. Just be out there and let it play out. Like, there's deer here. They're moving around. Just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to your point, like, there's something to be said about when it gets to be October 20th to Halloween. Yeah. Man, if there's a time to rattle, that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bucks really cruising on their feet and stuff.
Yep. So yeah, like you said, it's interesting. Like I said, but I'll tell you what, the thing that I feel like I've really used October for the last how many years is October's doe patrol for me. Mm-hmm. I feel like when I start to look back at the season and seasons in the past, I see more does in October. You know what I mean? That's a great time to let some of your spots that say you have a good buck on camera, but you're also hunting another piece over here. You've got public ground that you're hunting. Yeah. That's really when I try to hone in on does.
Yeah.
I feel like I see it's funny because I see a lot of does and I harvest a lot of does in October, and I'm like, oh man, I've had this great start to the year. Man, if I can just keep that up in November, and it doesn't work out that way. Yeah. It never does. Yeah. Because the does, they're on their feet and they're out and about in October. Yeah. But then it gets to November and they start to get bothered by the bucks and they just disappear. Yeah. All of a sudden in October, you see all these does, not as many bucks. Yeah. And then in November, you see a lot more bucks and not as many does. Yeah. Yeah. You see does running for their life. Yeah. Getting chased all over the place with their tongue hanging out. Yeah. But you don't just see them walking down an edge or coming down a nice trail. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you do in October, from my experience. Well, yeah. I think November gets way harder if you're trying to shoot does. And I think for a lot of people listening, this might be a little bit counterintuitive. Like, geez, you're shooting does? Yeah. Yeah, I am shooting does. Like, I love antlerless. I love antlerless tags. I love having opportunity to get deer meat.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think too, I just think if you said in November, like you might not have those does walking those edges and stuff, but like if it is November and you do have one, it's like, yeah, it'd be great to shoot it, but at the same time, it could she could be just coming in, just getting hot, and she's laying scent down. Those deer know where they walk, you know?
Yeah.
I've had that happen before, too, where I passed a doe, she came right by, and then throughout the morning, I had a bunch of little bucks. I mean, nose to the ground, just, you know, it can be almost a live kind of type decoy live scent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, nothing's better than the real thing.
Yeah, exactly. But compared to in October, they're still just kind of hanging out. They're going to come out into a bean field. They're going to kind of lollygag around.
Yeah.
And it's just, as a whole, it's just, like you said, it's a great time to kill some does if that's what you're trying to do, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I love October for doe hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time to just go into spots, and if you've got cameras out and you see does walking by, go in there, hone in on them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
And again, you know, I'm kind of playing both sides of the fence here, because if you're trying to keep the pressure off, then I understand.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
I have spots where the landowner's like, hey man, I'd like these deer out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
These deer are affecting my
Yeah,
fields. They're really doing a number.
Yeah.
And I've already done depredation hunting, trying to get does out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get deer out of there. So,
and it's funny too, because it's a spot where we've seen it, where you can kill deer there, does, year round, and it don't make a lick of difference.
well, it hasn't, well, I hate to say it hasn't made a lick of difference so far,
No.
because I've taken 5 deer out of there already. And then the next night there's more deer on the field. You're like,
4 deer in one picture.
yeah,
It's
you're like, oh, okay, well, there's 4 more bucks,
Yeah.
and there's 3 more does, and there's
Yeah.
2 does and a yearling walking out every night. It's like,
Yeah.
golly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, and if you look at the state of Iowa, you know, they've allowed more antlerless hunting in more counties than they have in the past.
Yeah.
Cerro Gordo County, where we're at, had 100 doe tags last year, have 100 doe tags this year.
Yeah.
Gal, what county was it? Alameda County, 3,800
Yeah.
antlerless tags. 3,800. That's
It's just
a lot.
a wild number.
A lot of Southern Iowa have 15, 18, 2,000,
2,000.
2,500.
Yeah.
You know, and there's something to be said too about, and again, like, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole, but your buck to doe ratio,
Yeah. Yeah. right?
I mean, you know, you hear guys say, man, I just can't get a buck to come in for nothing, like even what you're describing, right? Like, yeah, man, I just don't have any luck. Well, part of that is because if you're not killing any does, and you've got 9 does to 1 buck, he doesn't have to go very far to find the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, why would he come to your doe bleat? Why would he come to your grunt call?
Yeah, he
He's like, I smell this trail, and there's one like right over here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm golden, and I'm going to chase her around, and then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, there's no reason really.
Like, I don't have to get out and run around. That's when all of a sudden November and the teens can get good, because all of a sudden these does start to get done, and the bucks are still horned up.
Yeah.
And so then guess what? Well, they've checked and checked and checked, and all of a sudden now they're like, well, all of a sudden they've been on this little cruise.
Yeah.
And then you get the toads walking around.
Yeah, exactly.
Like zombies just looking to find the last one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but in late October, early November, there's just not that need.
Yeah.
You know?
God, I love deer hunting. Man, dude. I'm so excited.
Oh, it's so funny. God. Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Oh, man, it's so close. I'm not ready.
Dude, you're not ready.
I'm not ready at all.
No, you're not.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
Yours is the mental game that you're not ready. It's the mental game. It's the mental game. We're gonna have I'm just making this up on the spot. We're gonna have a hot mess cam.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just saying. We're gonna have a hot mess
Come
cam.
on.
Well, we are, because you just are a hot mess in general. But when for some reason deer are just your thing, they are your bugaboo, they are your drug in the vein, man. You just can't pull the needle out. And when it gets going, you just get a little of the old jigaboos. You get a little you get a little excited.
It's a never-ending cycle, because I just year round I'm
You know what it is? It's
thinking
called,
about deer,
it's
watching
called,
deer videos.
It's called passion.
It's year round I'm watching deer videos. I'm thinking about deer. I'm trying to find deer. And then when it gets to the point, it's just an explosion of awesome.
It's like you're a Taylor Swift fan, and you listen to her every day. You have all the albums, you know all the words, and then when you get at the concert, seriously,
Drops 6.
You're like, ah, Taylor Swift, I love you! That's what you do.
Oh my God.
You just can't even stand it. You just freak out. You just scream like a little schoolgirl.
I need to hone that in. I think the big issue is just being out of the game for a little bit.
It's literally like you see a deer and you just like,
oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. You just go straight inferno.
you really need to be like this.
Yo, dear, what are you doing? Hey, why don't you come over here? Hey, I got an arrow for you. I'm gonna poke you right in the side of the heart. Dead.
Yeah.
That's what you need to be.
Yeah.
Cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm preaching to the choir here. I'm calling the kettle black. Okay. Because believe me, I have a hard time keeping calm too. You've seen it. I have to talk myself down because I get way excited about does. I get way excited about anything.
Yeah.
I honestly, when my brain tells my body there's a good chance you're going to kill this deer, then I have to really, really calm it down because I get that. I can feel that flood of adrenaline, and then I really have to hone in.
Yeah.
But that's the fun part. That's what
why
deer
we do it.
Yeah, and it's not just deer hunting. That's just hunting in general. Yeah. That's why.
Once I stop getting that feeling, I'll be done.
That isn't the reason I go hunting.
Yeah.
But that is a part that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I enjoy that adrenaline. I enjoy, even like with Jet, seeing him and seeing how that hits him and seeing how it really hits him after. Mm-hmm. And just seeing how excited he gets, it's fun. That's what makes funny.
Yeah,
that's one of the good, really fun parts about hunting.
Yeah. I think one thing we haven't
hot
hit.
mess cam.
I think the one thing we haven't hit on yet is weather.
Yeah.
Because I think if you could lay a trump card in this situation, it's a cold front early season.
We had that last year.
Yeah.
We had a cold front here. What was that? October 10th.
October 10th.
Yeah, we had.
Well, I think it was actually. I've been watching way too many videos lately, but a lot of guys were saying it hit them like in Iowa, like October 8th or something. I can't remember if that was like the first day of it when we went out there. I can't remember exactly, but
yeah, the 8th, 9th, 10th.
Yeah, in that time frame.
Yeah, yep. If you can get cold weather early, now again, we can go back to the Pennsylvania deer study and how weather doesn't make a lick of difference. I don't know if I agree with that. Because,
I don't know, because that was...
Because, and dude, I've got hunting journals that I've kept for years, and I can go back year after year and see when there's cold weather in October.
Yeah.
You better watch out.
Yeah.
From my perspective, and again, in the data set that me being in a tree stand and being out there in one spot, you see more deer. It gets deer moving.
Yeah.
It just does what it does in early October.
Yeah.
If you get a real cold snap, you better be ready.
Yeah.
We saw that to a T last year.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's a perfect example of, and again, I'm not going to say this is how you hunt October, but my experience, this is kind of how I try to hunt October. I try to hunt does, but I will very quickly transition to hunting bucks if I get a buck on camera.
Yeah.
Or if I get a buck on camera on the hoof during the day, or right at dusk, or right at dark. Yep. If he's on camera at midnight, I can't hunt at midnight. So that's awesome that he's there, but he's there at midnight.
Yeah.
If I don't have any pictures of him roughly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And obviously in October, you're not hunting their bedding area. You know what I'm saying? Most likely, you're not going right and sitting right up against them. You know what I mean? We got a buck on camera right at first light and right at last light. He was there. And so I was like, and then all of a sudden, so we were like, okay, we were hunting does like the first, second, third, or whatever dates it was. We had an opportunity to get out there on October 1st, like, booyah, here we go, shoot some does. And then all of a sudden we got that buck on camera. It was like, oh baby, here we go. And then the cold front hit on top of that. And it was like, throttle down.
Yeah. It was
let's do this.
Crazy.
And then you hone in on them.
Yeah. We literally, we bumped that deer walking in.
Yeah, we bumped him. Literally, we walked in on this piece of public and we get down to where the stand is and we literally
all of a sudden we just hear like
pull out our phone when we got to the stand.
Sure enough.
And we knew roughly we'd walked by 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And 18 minutes ago, he walked right by the camera walking in our direction. It was 100% him.
Yeah, there's no way it was any other
There was
deer.
no way.
Yeah.
Now, again, in that moment, you're like, well, pretty sure today's shot. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know, but again, okay, he's here,
Yeah.
you know? And that's the other thing to say too is, again, you don't have to be reliant on trail cameras at all. You know what I mean? But what trail cameras do allow you to do is they can tell you what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If all of a sudden you're getting deer and they're moving through there and that's kind of their home area,
Yeah.
then let's get ready to rock and roll.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're getting them during the day, if you're getting them right at last light, right at first light, and you can figure out where they're maybe coming from and get in between there, you know what I mean? You can really hone in on them.
Yeah, and I think too, like, if you say you got just a dynamite spot and there hasn't been anything showing up and there's still a cold front, I'd say still go in there.
Yeah.
Still go in there, even if there's not a ton on camera. You just never know. Cameras don't tell you everything.
Well, there's a lot of truth in that too. Like, let's say you're the guy that just doesn't run any cameras at all, because I have buddies like that. Mm-hmm. You know who I'm talking about that doesn't run a single camera.
Yeah.
But what he does is he just waits for the formula to be right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's hot and it's early October, he's probably not going.
Yeah.
But if it's early and it's cold,
Yeah.
he's going to go.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to find a way to wiggle out.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing to say too about October is the fields are starting to come out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we watched that a lot last year. We were driving by spots just trying to say, hey, have they taken that field out yet?
Yeah.
Or if you get into a spot where if you see, hey, they work and they combine part of a bean field, but they don't combine the rest, you know, they hit it. Because again, obviously, if you don't know this, you're probably not combining beans at 6 a.m. in the morning because the dew, the humidity, the moisture. So they have to let that dew and moisture burn off those bean fields. So that's why they generally aren't combining beans until mid to late afternoon into the evening. And then at a certain point, they have to stop. Well, if you can see that, oh, hey, they cut part of this bean field, but not the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you've got a stand that's maybe along the edge where they took out the outer rows, but they still have the middle, you know,
Yeah.
and you can get in there the next morning.
Yeah.
That can be pretty dynamite.
Yeah.
We did that on cornfields in a couple different spots.
Yeah.
Where they were in there combining corn, but they just went in, they just took
Took the hedgerows out.
Yep, just got those out, and then we're like, and then all of a sudden now they've got this. There's this this kind of this new
love
made
that.
pinch funnel that's only there for a short amount of time. If you can get in there on that next morning, we saw that work multiple times.
Saw it work perfectly last year.
Saw that work on Mega, almost,
Yep.
and then we definitely saw it work on a couple bucks at
At your permission spot.
Yep, that were like, oh, hey, let's just walk down these hedgerows that aren't here anymore.
That was a fun morning.
Come around that corner.
We were just looking at that footage the other day, and it's like, God, that was just a perfect morning.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's what's cool. And like you said earlier, that's what's so fun is we're right kind of in this anticipation of what is about to break, you know? And you're seeing that with, geez, look at, and again, this related, not related, elk hunting, man. Elk hunting is breaking. It's like if hunting was a stick and you're bending that stick and then it breaks, man, the elk hunting stick is like,
Yeah.
throwing it away.
Yeah.
I mean, like my buddy Jim, just some of the stuff that I'm like, geez, they've gotten
Yeah.
after already. You're seeing it on social media.
Yeah.
You're hearing from buddies that are just,
Yeah.
yeah, man, we just pounded a big one. And they're guys that are.
Yeah.
It's 100% broke.
Yeah.
And so we are starting to bend that stick, just kind of grabbing hold of it right now. And it's going to start getting closer to breaking.
Yeah. It's awesome. God, it's awesome.
Yeah. But like you said, I think the big thing I would say, if you had to say, what's the one thing that I would say is like, man, just be careful. Like hunting in October is fun, but don't put so much pressure on spots. I've had the tendency to do that before, where I just want to go.
Yeah.
And I put in a bunch of time, and then all of a sudden you can wear spots out.
Yeah.
That's where ozonics can become so valuable.
Yeah.
To help minimize that pressure and maximize that opportunity.
Yeah.
You can do more harm than good in October if you're not careful. It's awesome that you want to get out, but I mean, the other thing, when this podcast is coming out, I will have already gotten the rest of my antlerless tags. I hate to say that because I don't want to have to compete against anybody, but on Monday, tags will have gone on sale and on 12/01 on September 15th.
Yeah.
So, and this is the 16th.
16th.
Yeah. So they've already been on sale. Wait a second.
No, 17th.
17th.
Oh, man, we screwed this all up.
Yep, we got the dates wrong. Well, you know what? You know what? No. Friday is September. No, Saturday's the 14th. That's what it is. We got him right. So I just said that wrong. Let me correct myself.
Yeah.
When you hear this, tags will have, the antlerless tags for residents will have gone on sale at 12:01 on Sunday morning.
Yes.
So by the 16th, hopefully you've got your doe tags. If you're not, hey, newsflash, public service announcement. But that's what I've started to try to do is like, okay, I don't want to wear out everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So where else can I go and try to pound some does out where it's on public spots? You know what I mean? Obviously, we've all got surrounding counties, and, there's a lot of the state of Iowa that has doe tags.
Yeah.
If you happen to live in central Iowa, you're really in business.
Oh, yeah. A lot of tags to be bought.
Yep, a lot of tags to be bought. So, yeah, man, like I said, October's a fun time of year. And hey, for the record, I'm just razzing. You're going to be totally fine.
I hope so.
I've been on the record multiple times. My goal for the season, and again, that's the other thing to think about. Start thinking about those goals. Maybe if you listen to one of our podcasts talking about what your goals are for the season, take a look at what you wrote down. If I have notes on my phone where I've got my goals written out, hey, this is what my goal is. Yeah. What's on camera? Is that lining up still, or do my goals need to shift and to adjust and change? You know what I mean? But my goal is to get Jet. Oh, man, I would love to get Jet a little buck.
Billy
Nobrow. He was excited about that name, BNB. So we got BNB out there. We got Billy Nobrow. We got a little. What is he? He's like a little 6-pointer. 6-pointer.
Nice.
We'll put him up on here.
Yeah, nice for him, but just no brows.
No brows. Billy Nobrow. We got a couple new good names. We got Gasoline.
Billy Nobrow.
Or Gas.
Billy Nobrow.
And Billy Nobrow. And then I hate the name Doc. Oh, Doc.
Doc Holliday. Tombstone.
Doc Holliday.
Great movie.
Doc.
I went through a couple of weeks ago. I went through a huge Western kick.
I guess. What other names? World Traveler, WT. We haven't seen him in a bit. He's out there. He's in who knows where.
MIA right now.
Yeah, he's on vacation.
We never gave a name to that guy that's all split.
I know. We need to think. So there's another buck in our permission spot that, gosh, he's a cranker.
He's a sweet deer.
Yeah.
Well, I think I actually put some video in it of him on. Well, I posted on social media for sure.
Yeah.
Got some cool velvet footage of him. Like, man, he's a cool deer, dude.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that's kind of fun that I just always do in my head this time of year, which I'm kind of jumping around a lot of subjects. I'll come back to the goal thing. I always think about in a lot of different types of critters, whether it's whitetails or elk or sheep or anything, right? Think about it like a pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid, there's lots of smaller bucks. Mm-hmm. And then in the middle of the pyramid, there's not near as many, and they start to get a lot better. And then at the top of the pyramid is just the cream of the crop, the best, the big, mature 4, 5, 6-year-old bucks. And I think what we're starting to do is you can start to see where we're starting to kind of put those bucks. World Traveler last year was kind of in the middle. Now middle. Now he's kind of moved up towards the top of the middle. He's right there at the bottom of the top of the pyramid. Mm-hmm. Billy Nobrow, he's at the bottom. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've got a bunch of little spikers and 6s and basket racks that are all at the bottom. But we've also got Gas that he's right there at the top. He's competing.
That deer's big.
I mean, we haven't seen 33 yet. There's a lot of bucks that we haven't seen yet. You've got you've got Doc that he's kind of at the top of the middle category. He's probably not in the top tier, but he's good.
Close.
Highbrow, if he's still around, he's going to be in the top tier.
Oh, that's the thing, man. There's a lot of deer that haven't showed up yet that I'm confident that will.
I know. And that's what's really fun about this time of year. It's just like and it's.
I told you yesterday.
I seriously, I'm going to go buy a package of Snickers because sometimes you're like, oh, nothing on camera again. You can tell you're just getting a little depressed. You're getting a little anxious.
Nah.
Oh, you're getting
something. But I told you yesterday.
You're a little hangry.
I told you yesterday. I said, I think in the next week or so, something's going to show up that'll put our jaws on the floor.
Let's go back to the goals. Goals are get Jet a buck. If we could get Jetty a buck, that'd be awesome. And then, goal 1B, because Jet's season hits first, is get Nick a mature whitetail.
That's the thing, though. I don't need a mature one.
Yes, you do.
I just need a 130.
No. I'm drawing a line in the sand because I can tell you that you're going to go out on the second week in October and you're going to kill a 128, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, but I'd be stoked about that.
Nope, mature whitetail.
Okay, so now I have to change my goal.
You don't have to change your goal. I'm just going to put you in a headlock and make you sleep on the ground for a couple minutes if you shoot. We're going for mature whitetail. Oh, man. We're looking for a mature one.
I mean, that'd be awesome, but if a 130 walks by, it's going to be awfully tough to pass.
Yeah.
Just because...
I would love to see you shoot something in the 130 to 150 range.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I would love to see you shoot something like the 150 to 160 range.
If that happens, I would quit hunting.
See, that's kind of what my goal for you is that 150 to 160 range. That's what I'm, and again, some people look at it like, oh, it's not a mature whitetail. Yeah, you may be right. You know what I mean? Like, but I would love for you to shoot something in that 3-year-old and up range. You know what I'm saying? That 3 to 4-year-old range. Yeah. I would love you to track down Doc, World Traveler, Gasoline. Jeez. Gas. That guy is,
He's a river.
What did Zip say?
Mid 150.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I think he's bigger than that.
That's what Benny said too. Mid 150.
Yeah.
But we just need to get a better picture of him. We don't have a good set.
I go off of when I've seen 160 deer on the hoof and then I've seen them dead and then go, okay, like, man, he's got to be 160, I think. But maybe not.
I think the thing that puts him up. I've had this cough for like 3 months.
At least.
I think the thing that could put him over the edge is 1, his mass, and 2, his brows.
I was going to say his mass.
He's got really good mass.
To me, I feel like it's like if you start checking the boxes, he's got mass, he's got brows, and he's got main beam length. That's the thing he's got too. And
he's really got everything.
And he's got width. He's not like he's narrow.
Oh, he's probably 22-ish inches wide.
Yeah.
He's pretty wide. It is honestly, none of it matters until it's in the back of the heavy shaft or the F-150.
The F-150.
Yeah.
Or in the Rambo cart.
Yes.
Because the Rambo cart's already had 5 in the back of it already.
5. Oh, I keep forgetting. I got to start that tally on that thing.
Yeah, so Nick tried to figure out a way. He wanted to put a tally mark on his deer cart. So he was out there trying to cut his hand off, trying to do it. And then that didn't work. And then he was trying to use a file, and that didn't work. I'm like, let's just go get a silver paint pen or something, or a yellow one, and then you can put a mark that's very blatantly obvious, and that will stay there. And he's like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. We'll do that. It's just like, it looked like you were vandalizing your deer cart at the beginning. It wasn't even working.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's a good time of year. That's just, man, I'm excited.
No, it is a great time of year. Like you said, all the scrapes are going to start picking up. The bucks are going to start moving around. The weather's starting to cool down. The leaves are starting to change. I mean, that's the other thing that I really, really love about early October. That's the thing. There's a lot of things, but early October arguably is the prettiest time.
Oh, easily.
I was looking at the other day.
No
it was
question.
Peak color in northern Iowa is late September to like October 10th. It's just such a beautiful time. Not that November has its beauty too, when the bucks just start to take over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it becomes just magical.
Yeah.
But man, like just the paintbrush of brilliant, vibrant color that you just don't see the rest of the year. And then just to know that it just kind of, it's so fleeting and it just goes away so fast.
Yeah.
There's really something to that. And then when you see these whitetail bucks and kind of in their full glory and they're just healthy and they've got a full coat and their neck starts swelling up and they just start kind of just plotting along and cruising through.
That's what dreams are made of.
There's something about that. Awesome. It's funny. This whole conversation makes me think of hunting the road field.
Yeah.
And I sat there early,
yeah.
and that buck came from behind me.
Yeah.
And he was like a high, it was like a tight 10-pointer.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting there and I looked over my right shoulder and there he was. And he worked up behind me to like 20 yards and he walked right in. And then he came behind me to my left and then came out in the field, and it was just brilliant yellow and orange. And I'm just like, and he was just his coat was just like a real bright brown. Some would get real dull.
Yeah.
He was bright. I remember calling you and be like, dude, I just saw I'll never forget that. It was he was so pretty.
I know.
Oh man,
so
there's something
sweet.
there's something about that. Yeah, dude, it's coming up.
This is bad.
You just need to calm down. You need to calm down. I'll tell you what, and I'll tell you what, there's been something I've been hearing over and over. And we've talked about this podcast before about target panic and about pressure and about adrenaline, how you handle all that. But I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that I think that I know that I'm going to be really thinking about as I make decisions about where I go and what I do and where I try to put you in spots, and when deer start walking in and things start happening, 2 words: be present.
Yeah.
You need to be present.
Yeah.
Because I think what all of us do is we get the cart in front of the horse.
Yeah.
Right? You see that buck walk in, and all of a sudden you're thinking about calling zip and in the back of the heavy Chev, and am I going to shoulder mount it? And then all of a sudden you're just, you're doing that whole thing, right? You're getting the cart way in front of the horse.
Yeah.
Dude, you're pulling the boat out of the river and you haven't even hooked into the fish yet. You know what I'm saying? You have to just be present.
Yeah.
What do I need to do right now? Okay, I need to pick up my bow. I need to think about where I want to put that arrow. When am I going to draw back? You need to just be thinking about that. I've been watching this last weekend was such a great weekend. NFL football is back, right? I was watching a bunch of football. I don't know why, but I feel like I'm really going to be the NFL this year. Part of it's Barstool Sports. It's got me just all fired up. But, sports advisors. Been really into that. But part of it is when you hear these guys talking, all these analysts and these reporters ask, what do we need to do today? What do we need to do today? And it was a San Francisco game. Before the game, it was one of the defensive guys. He said, hey, we just need to be present. We just need to be here and now. We can't worry about the whole season. We can't worry about the playoffs. We can't worry about the Super Bowl. We need to think about right now, this play. Be present in this game, in this series. What am I doing right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Can't get ahead of yourself.
Yep.
And I think when we go hunting, we all do that. It's not that the situation gets us worked up. We get ourselves worked up.
Yeah.
And that's what I think you do. I do the exact same thing. I'm just a little farther along, because how old are you? Like 14, right?
No, I'm
15?
26 years old.
26 years old. Okay, I said I was going to say the story, and this is what we're going to end with.
God, this is terrible.
So you can see from the angle, Nick has got a glorious mullet, which, exciting news. Should I break this exciting news?
Nope.
No, why not?
No, because it'll be perfect.
Okay. There's a surprise coming. A couple weeks, there's gonna be a surprise.
The next time you see us.
It's gonna be awesome. But Nick, I think your mullet makes you look older. Personally, I think especially when I see pictures of you pre-mullet, you look really young in those pictures. But I'm always razzing Nick about his baby face, and he's always a good sport. A couple weeks ago, we went to a dirt track race, and I had Nick came with, and Jet came with. And we walked up to the till to go to pay to get in. And the gal says, I just trying to ask about car count and making conversation, right? How many cars you got? We got 74 cars tonight. Oh, wow, that's awesome. I'm like, how far are you guys through heat races yet? No. Or hot laps yet? No, we haven't even got through hot laps. I'm like, okay, perfect. And the gal said, well, the good thing for you is 17 and under get in free. And I said, oh, really? I said, well, heck. And I looked at Nick. I said, there you go, son. You get in free. And she looked right at you and went, in her mind, she went, yep, he's under 17. So Nick got into the dirt track race for free. Saved him $20.
It was unbelievable.
So you're going to never hear the end of that one, dude.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it was so bad. Obviously they got to ID everybody. If you're at a restaurant and you want a brewski, you're going to get ID'd, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, she thought you were under 17 years old. She thought you were my son, which maybe that makes me look really old. Maybe that's what I should be focusing on. But
she didn't bat an eye, though.
She didn't even question it. She wasn't like, let me see your ID. She looked at you and was like, walk on in, youngin'. Just go on and get in there. Go hang out with your dad and your brother. Oh,
bad.
Maybe it's where we were too, because we were in Britt West Hancock, and they do have a bunch of big kids there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like if there was a junior in high school that was like 6'3" standing right beside you,
and had a beard, he'd probably look older than me.
Yeah. So maybe that was part of what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, she thought you were 17. I have been riding that pony here for a few weeks.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh,
It's great.
But yep, it's getting here quick.
Yeah,
Yep, it's going to be good. Yeah, like I said.
I'm excited.
Yep, once you get past Labor Day, and then once you start to get into mid-September, it's just
Go time.
You can start to mark it off the calendar. We're about 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's end it. Good luck if you're going to get out there. Here, like I said, an early muzz is kicking in. U season's kicking in. If you've got sons and daughters that you're getting out there, good luck. I know I'm getting Jen out there this Saturday.
Yep.
See if we can get him one. Yep. He's been seriously marking the calendar every single day. How many days until we get to go? What time are we going? I thought 4 a.m. We're going at 4 a.m. He wants to know exactly what time we're leaving. Yeah. So he's all gung ho.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
All right. Another podcast in the books. Ozonics Killerwinds podcast. Thanks for listening. We are who we are. Good luck in October.
See you next week.
Stay classy.